morning and welcome to Toro for Women's Mountain Moments. This is our prepper portions and I am Judith Garten. Here I'd like to bring up a few of the other concerns just quickly. I'd like to go into more depth in these in future videos. Now I've been in food storage for roughly around 30 years or so. And I've been storing my own foods in various ways through canning, through dry packing. There have been several occasions where my own household has actually had to live off of food storage. And take my word for it, it's not something you want to throw on your family suddenly. I've watched both children and adults go through the process of transition as they go from eating their regular daily diet to eating the food stored for emergencies. And Jim and I have had a negative experience that I'll go over in a future video as far as some of the dry products that are available. Through those times that we've had to live on our food storage, I've learned a lot about the types of foods you really ought to store. And I've made that a habit in our own home. Here's a couple of quick tips. One of the first principles I was taught decades ago is that a family needs to store foods that they eat and then eat the foods that they stored. This will rotate your storage regularly. What it means is simple, actually. Whatever you currently eat on a daily basis is what you ought to have in your food storage. But it also means that you need to learn now how to eat more basic foods and make foods on your own. Those foods which are more healthy for you and your family. You know, when someone first brought this experience up to, or this quote up to me, I had 2 young children. They ate a lot of instant cold cereals, and I sat down one day and I calculated. I watched them eating their cold cereals, and I watched how much they ate. We didn't eat the standard portion size listed on the side of the box, I will admit. So I calculated by what they ate that morning, how many boxes of cereal I would need to store, and I was stunned. The number of boxes of cereal was ridiculous. It was almost enough to fill one of our tiny little bedrooms in the tiny house I was living in at the time. I would need a whole bedroom of cereals just for breakfast. So I started making changes right then and there. And I can promise you that it didn't go easy at first. If all we had for food storage at any point in time because of space limitation was instant cold cereals, come on. Our kids would have been living on Captain Crunch and Pop-Tarts and getting sick, let's face it. So we needed to make changes. And please know I'm not picking on anyone. If you happen to eat these cereals, enjoy them. I'm just saying it might be time to transition your family into some other options. You can start simple by creating some wonderful meals out of oatmeal, for example. You could do granolas, you could do baked oatmeals. Oatmeal, you can store a large quantity of rolled oats easily in a bucket, in a cupboard, or in a pantry. Also in your basement, if your basement is dry. Very simple and easy to store. Oatmeal has so many wonderful options. You can mix it with dried fruits, coconut, things like that to make wonderful cereals. Get the kids used to eating it now. Oatmeal doesn't just have to be that gooey slop we used to eat when we were kids. There are recipes galore. Print them out, stick them in a special book, and you can actually even print them out and stick them in your storage bucket if you'd like. Now, a second idea is if you're eating what you store, your food items will naturally rotate through and constantly stay refreshed, so you won't need to worry about whether or not it's 25 years shelf life or not. If you spring strange foods, though, on your family in an urgent need, let's say you're storing one of those buckets that has all the meals you need for 4 people in one bucket or 2 buckets, and you've got it in the pantry and you never try those foods, you don't know what to do with them, you don't know how they taste, and 5 years down the line something happens and you need to rely on that food, and all of a sudden your family is looking at you like this is some foreign object. I can promise you it could happen. Start now. Complaining will be one of the things you don't want to deal with when there's an emergency. You're already under stress, whatever the emergency is, whether it's a loss of job, whether it's a sudden move because you've lost everything and the only thing you have left is food storage. Whatever your reason for needing to live on your food storage, complaining will only make the circumstance worse. Let's get our families used to eating good foods now. Complaining leads to conflict in the home, a lack of peace, and if you're already under that stress, you don't want the added drama. An idea I used to use with the kids with the oatmeal that I brought up a few minutes ago, that was easy. I would just take the oatmeal and serve it to them 2 or 3 days a week and then expand it as we went along. Now, if your family doesn't want to eat what you're trying to cook for them from your food storage because it's foreign, you could end up with a lot of wasted food also. This won't happen if you have dogs, I guarantee that, because the dogs will eat what your kids don't. But you really want the kids to be eating what you're cooking or more complaining, and then you end up with that situation of someone who might be hangry, hungry, angry. Right. Don't want that at all. You don't want that unpleasant individual. You want the yummy foods you stored to end up in your children's bodies so they're being nourished. Now, one thing I did experience when my kids were a little bit older, I will share this. They may not like it, but I'm going to share it. When they got hangry, a couple of them would sneak down into the yummy foods that we had stored for special treats. Things like graham crackers, peanut butter, chocolate chips, things like that, and things would get snitched. So you don't want that either, because you don't want to go looking for something to make something for the whole family and find out it's gone. The third issue I want to bring up to you is one I've seen over the years where people store 500 pounds of whole wheat expecting, if things go bad, it's not a problem. We'll just grind it and make bread. If your family is not used to eating whole wheat bread, you're not going to be eating that bread. Nobody will be eating that bread. Homemade whole wheat bread is distinctly different than the stuff you buy at the store. The stuff you buy at the store is filled with all kinds of dough enhancers and lovely things that make it light and fluffy. The homemade stuff is often very light and fluffy, but it is a different texture, it is a different flavor. It is very wonderful. I've eaten it and made it for decades and love homemade wheat bread. Not a problem, but not everybody is like that. If you're not doing it now, don't expect them to eat it later. So do it now. Learn now. Learn how to make sourdough breads too. Now the fourth thing, and this will be the final thing for this particular video, fiber. Oftentimes the stored foods that you have, especially your whole grains like oatmeal, rolled oats, your brown rices, your beans as well. A lot of these dry goods, and of course whole wheat, are high in fiber. If your family is not used to eating this fiber, let's just say it'll be uncomfortable for everybody, and you don't want that. I can promise you that between the diarrhea, gas pains, bloating, and other overall illness issues that they can experience if they're not used to eating that much fiber and for every meal, it is not something you want to face. And all that toilet paper you thought you had stored for emergencies, it will be gone in no time. Nutrition can also become a problem if they're not properly digesting the foods because they're not used to eating that much fiber. So this is something you have to take into consideration. You want to stay nourished. You want to stay healthy, even in times of trouble. Changing the diet dramatically, it can cause issues. So let's get started now. Now, to sum up what I've said in this video, you can store certain foods for up to 25 years, but should you? No. Teach your family to eat these products now. Whenever I talk to people about this topic, about 25-year food, I always recommend people don't plan on storing the food for 25 years. Plan on keeping it rotating. Store the foods, remember, that your family will eat, but do everything you can now, while you can, to transition them into a food lifestyle that's healthier and easier to fit into the food storage lifestyle. I hope this has helped, and I hope you have a greater understanding of long-term food storage, and should you or can you? I also hope that you will check out our links below. We have www.torahforwomen.com. You can find me there through the contact form. You can also contact me through the YouTube channel. I would like to invite you to check out the resources I'm leaving below. It is important that you stay up on those resources so that you are doing what is best for your family at all times. Thanks for stopping in. Shalom.